Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So, in the last class, we have seen about how the PN junction diode operates in forward bias and reverse bias. We have seen that in forward bias, the height of the potential barrier is going to reduce, and the width of your depletion region is also going to decrease in forward bias. And then in the reverse bias, your width of the depletion region is going to increase, and your height of the potential barrier is also going to be increased. We have also seen the energy band diagrams of an open circuit PN junction, from which we have derived an expression for V naught, uh, and then we have got this Boltzmann relationship. From the Boltzmann relationship, we have derived the equation for a diode current. So diode current, I think you have seen that. What's the diode current equation? I equal to, okay, I better use this. I equal to I naught into exponential of V by eta Vt minus 1, where eta is called ideality factor equal to 1 for germanium. We'll take it as 2 for silicon. Vt is called volt equivalent of temperature. Vt equal to T by 11,600 volts. At room temperature, we have seen that Vt is nearly equal to 26 millivolts. Okay, and then we have also seen that in forward bias, if V is greater than V is greater than Vt. So Vt is a very small value. At room temperature it is only 26 millivolts. So if you are giving a voltage, maybe instead of 26 millivolts you are giving some 0.4 volts or 0.5 volts or something, a large number compared to the Vt, then I can approximate the forward current equal to exponential of V by eta Vt. We are neglecting the minus 1 within this bracket, okay, because exponential term will be larger compared to your 1. Similarly, in reverse bias, if your magnitude of V is greater than Vt, we are getting I as nearly equal to minus I naught. Okay, it's a nearly a constant current. However, your current will not be constant even in the reverse bias. And also here you should remember that in forward bias, current is due to, so most of the current is due to, please mute yourself. Okay. Due to majority carriers. So in majority carriers, forward bias, so most of the current is due to majority carriers. In reverse bias, current is mostly due to minority carriers. So majority carriers are holes in p side, electrons in n side, whereas minority carriers are electrons in p side and holes in n side. Okay, so with this kind of background, we shall now see the VA characteristics or the volt ampere characteristics of a PN junction diode. So this is the equation we have. I is equal to I naught exponential of V by eta Vt minus 1. and we have already written about Vt and all. So taking this equation into consideration, if we draw a graph along x and y axis, on the x axis you have the voltage and the y axis you have the current, then you'll get a graph in this manner, in which your on your first quadrant, that is when the voltage and currents are positive, you'll get an exponential curve, and then uh, in the quadrant 3, that is when both voltage and current are negative, you'll get a very small near constant current. So here, if you take the same kind of ranges on both positive y-axis and negative y-axis, so you may not be able to see the value of reverse current, because in forward bias the current will be large, whereas in the reverse bias the current is only of the order of microampere to nano amperes. So in germanium, it will be in the order of microamperes. If it's a silicon diode, your reverse current will be in the order of nano amperes. So you may not be able to see if you are using the similar ranges on the both positive y-axis and the negative y-axis. So instead, we may go for a different scales on positive y-axis and negative y-axis. You can see that on the positive y-axis, I have a range in the milliamperes. Current IF is in the milliamperes, whereas on the negative y-axis I have taken the current in the microamperes. It is as if I am zooming the negative y-axis. Okay, just to get the curve on the reverse bias condition, I'm zooming it as if I'm redrawing the negative y-axis. Okay, so you can see that in the forward bias, till some value, let us say in this curve around 0.1, the current is very small. Okay, only after crossing that small voltage, uh, the current is going on incrementing. So initially the current is very low. So in this region, in this region, your current is very small. Okay, only after crossing this after a small voltage, the current is starting to go on an incremental fashion. This voltage we often call it as, this we will call it as cut-in voltage. Cut-in voltage we will represent by a term V gamma. Okay, or in some books it might be called as knee voltage, KNE. So it is as if it is the knee point for the exponential curve. So knee ante mokalu. So it is as if this point is acting like the knee point for this curve. Okay. So it's represented by a term Vk. So depending upon the textbook that you are browsing, different terms might be used. So usually most of the books will call it as cut-in voltage. So when the voltage is less than this cut-in voltage, your forward current is very small. Once the voltage crosses the cut-in voltage, your current starts to rise exponentially and will be limited only by the external resistance in the circuit. Okay, so if you come to the reverse bias side, so you have a almost constant current I naught till some voltage, and after if the voltage goes on increasing, at some point the diode is said to be broken down, and suddenly the current starts rising. So it's not falling, it's in the reverse direction. The magnitude of the current is going to increase. It's a negative current is going to increase all of a sudden, even without much appreciable change in the voltage. It is as if at a constant voltage you are suddenly seeing the rise in current. So current is increasing without appreciable change in the voltage. This voltage at which this current, reverse current starts increasing, so all of a sudden, is known as your breakdown voltage. Breakdown voltage. Okay. So different types of breakdown mechanisms are there, something like avalanche breakdown and Zener breakdown, which we'll discuss at later point of time. As of now, I do not want to introduce those things. So only thing till now you can simply identify that the dashed portion is there, right? That voltage is known as reverse bias. That reverse bias voltage is known as breakdown voltage and is represented by here a term Vz. Okay, it's a breakdown voltage. So at this critical voltage, large reverse current flows in the diode, and the diode is said to be in breakdown region. It's said to be in breakdown region. Okay, so if we zoom into the forward bias condition, so I'm now only considering the quadrant 1, in which both voltage is positive and then current is also positive. That's why you can see that on the y-axis we have the current in milliamperes. It's not in microamperes, so it's a positive current. Okay, I'm now considering the volt ampere characteristics of both germanium and silicon diodes at 25 degrees centigrade. So here you can see the two names 1N270, 1N3605. These are the diode numbers. Okay, so depending upon the number, they may behave differently. So usually in our lab we use a diode called 1N4007. Okay, so here we are using 1N270. These graphs are representing 1N270 germanium diode and 1N3605 silicon diode. So in this, if we zoom in the initial region, so in the previous slide, I've shown that the current is very small until we reach a voltage called cut-in voltage. So here you can zoom in. So you can see that for germanium, the cut-in voltage is around 0.2. This for germanium. So V gamma is around only 0.2 volts, whereas for silicon, it is somewhere close to 0.6. Okay, it is as if I can say that your silicon cut-in voltage is almost 0.4 volts beyond your germanium diode. So even if you are giving 0.4 volts for a silicon diode, still the current will not be increasing appreciably. Okay, so before this cut-in voltage, current will be very small, almost less than 1% of your maximum rated value. Okay, that's what you are seeing in this PPT. Beyond V gamma, the current rises very rapidly. So in this figure, we have 0.2 volts for germanium diode and 0.6 volts for silicon diode. So the reason is that the reverse saturation current in germanium diode is in, it's not milliamperes, it's actually microamperes. It's a type error. It's in microamperes. This is this should be microamperes, which is normally large by a factor of almost 1000 than in silicon diode. So in silicon diode, it's in the range of nanoamperes. So although you are taking the comparable ratings, means with the same kind of power dissipations and all, still we are seeing that in a germanium diode, the reverse saturation current is much larger compared to that in a silicon diode. And also for silicon, for small currents, we are taking that ideality factor as 2. It means that current increases as exponential of V by 2 Vt, where 2 is nothing but your eta Vt, where eta is equal to 2. So for the first uh, few tenths of a volt, so that is 0.1 or 0.2, 0.3, so on like that. For silicon, the rise in voltage is much smaller compared to that of the germanium and diode. Okay, and then And next topic is temperature dependence of PN characteristics. So PN diode VI characteristics will depend upon P, will depend upon the temperature. Okay. So the dependence of is given by an expression. This you need to remember. So although I can derive, it is beyond the scope of the syllabus, and there's no also utility factor is also very poor. So I'll not derive that. You can simply remember this equation. So I naught is equal to k into t power m into exponential of minus Vg naught by eta Vt, where k is some constant, m is also a constant for a given diode, and then Vg naught is nothing but your forbidden gap energy. So for a germanium, you know that eta equal to 1. Similarly, for germanium, m is equal to 2, whereas your forbidden energy gap is around 0.785 volts. For silicon, it is eta equal to 2, m is around 1.5, Vg naught is equal to 1.21 volts. So these questions you might get in any of your competitive exams like Genco or Transco. In GATE, it may not be asked, but in Transco or Genco, where uh, questions are only based upon knowledge level, so there they might be asking such questions. So please remember these values. So whether you remember m value or not, it is up to you, but you should remember this forbidden energy gap values 0.785 and 1.21 volts. Okay. So I is proportional to, I can say that I is depending upon t power m, and also uh, within this Vt term, you already have T by 11,600. So even this Vt is going to depend upon your temperature. So overall, your current is going to depend upon your temperature. So we are drawing the VI characteristics only at a given temperature. If the temperature is going to vary, obviously your curve will shape will be modified. Okay. So from experimental data, it's a empirical data. From empirical data, we're getting that reverse saturation current, that is I naught, is increasing around 7% per degree centigrade for both silicon and germanium. So if you are increasing 10 degrees, then so 7% means if it is 100%, we are taking it as 1. So adding the 7%, it becomes 1.07. And because we are exponentially increasing, the cumulatively increasing, so it is 1.07 per 10. It means that for every 10-degree rise in temperature, we are getting almost double the amount of current. Okay. So this sentence is also very much important, because in most of numerical problems, instead of quoting the reverse saturation current I naught at a temperature, he will mention I naught at a different temperature. So based upon the relationship, you might be asked to do the problem. Okay. So this statement you should remember. So I naught will double. I naught doubles. I naught doubles for every 10-degree rise in temperature. This statement is very much important. Okay. So let us say that I naught is equal to 2 milliamps at, let us say that at 25 degrees centigrade. It means that then I naught will be equal to, nearly equal to 4 milliamperes at 35 degrees centigrade. Okay. So likewise, so in some questions, instead of directly mentioning the I naught at the particular temperature, he might mention I naught at a different temperature. He might be asking you to find out the current I when temperature is equal to 35 degrees, whereas the data he mentions will be of let us say at 25 degrees, I naught is 2 milliamperes. Likewise, he may ask in the questions. Okay, so for that, you need to remember this fact that I naught doubles for every 10-degree rise in temperature. Similarly, not only this current, but also the rise in voltage dV by dt, the incremental change in voltage dV by dt is also going to depend upon the temperature. So this dV by dt will be nearly equal to minus 2.5 millivolts per degree centigrade for germanium. It is minus 2.3 millivolts per degree centigrade for silicon. This just for your knowledge, you need not by heart these values. Okay. So what you are seeing that if the temperature is increasing, the rise in voltage is decreasing. So if the temperature is very high, you may see that the further rise in voltage will not be not appreciable. So exponential curve will not remain exponential. The slope of your exponential curve is going to decrease if the temperature is going to increase. That you should analytically see that. So you not remember the value dU by dt values, but you should know that with the temperature, even your voltage is also going to be decreasing. So if the temperature is increasing, then your voltage is going to decrease at the rate of 2.5 millivolts per degree centigrade. And now because we have VI characteristics, from VI characteristics, we can define some of the properties of the diode. So diode will be having some properties like it offers resistance like any other circuit element. It also offers some capacitance also. Okay, but we may not directly observe the a discrete resistor or a discrete capacitance inside your diode. However, based upon the response that it is giving to a supply voltage, you will be able to determine some of the properties of your diode. Okay, so first we are going to see about your physical properties of a diode, which is your resistance. So it's nothing but resistance is nothing but opposition offered to a current, right? So whether it's able to oppose the flowing current. So let us check that from VI characteristics. So diode has two different types of resistances. One is called static resistance and the other is called dynamic resistance. So first we shall see the static resistance. So static resistance is of R, capital R of a diode is nothing but a ratio of the voltage to the current. So if we have this graph, so if we check this graph, so you can see that you have exponential curve and at any given point you will get two values. So let us say that I have a value V1 comma I1. On x-axis I have a voltage V1, on a y-axis I'm getting a value I1. That is, this is value is V1. Video player. మీకు కనబట్లేదా? I'm unable to understand. Somebody is commented. Is my screen not visible? Is my screen visible or not? I'll unmute. I'll give the option to unmute. It is visible. Oh, so somebody has given a video play video, so that's why I could not understand. Okay, fine. So if in case you are not seeing my PPT, please let me know in the chat box. Okay. So on the x-axis you have a voltage V1, on the y-axis I have a current I1. Okay. So in that case, I can write my static resistance capital R is equal to V1 by I1 at this given operating point. So static resistance of R of a diode is nothing but ratio of V by I of the voltage to the current. At any point on the volt ampere characteristics, resistance will be nothing but I can take the inverse of the slope, because for this graph at any given point the slope The slope is nothing but dy by dx, right? This is the slope. Slope m is dy by dx. So on the y-axis I have current. On the x-axis I have voltage. Okay. So this inverse of this slope will give me, so 1 by m, or I can say that v by I. This is your resistance. So that's why here it is given that resistance R is equal to reciprocal of the slope of a line joining operating point to the origin. So we'll be joining origin to this line, and from there we will get the slope of the line. So inverse of the slope will give you the static resistance. Okay. This static resistance is not a useful parameter. Why it is not useful parameter is that if you are going to change your operating point, so at this point the slope will be different, at this point it will be different, at this point it will be different. So as we are moving along this curve, the operating points are changing. As operating points are changing, your resistance that you get numerically by dividing the voltage with the current, it will vary widely. So here the static resistance will be higher, here it will be lower, and so on. So depending upon your operating point, your static resistance, although the name there is static is there, it is not going to be remain constant. It is going to vary widely. Okay. However, for academic purpose, if you want to know the static resistance of a given diode, what you can do is you can refer to the maximum forward voltage from the data sheet or the manufacturer specification sheet, we will call it, in which there will be maximum forward voltage, and for to get in a specific forward current it will be mentioned, from which we will be dividing the Vf divided by If will give you the static resistance. So I'll be showing one slide where I have the manufacturer sheet. So this is in the net you can get for any given model number. For example, this sheet is for 194001 to 19407 diodes. These are the manufacturer's sheet. Okay, so when you purchase any kind of electronic component, you'll be also be given a data sheet. So in this data sheet, number of things will be mentioned. So I'll be showcasing one data sheet for you. So before proceeding further, I'll stop this PPT. I'll move on to a different PDF file. Okay, this one such. Can you see this PPT? Can you see this PDF? Please let me know. You can write in the chat box, or I will unmute. I will let you mute. Okay, is the PDF visible now? Is the PDF? Okay. Now mute yourself. So here in this you can see the some data. So here this manufacturer is some Multicom Pro. This is a manufacturer name. This is a type of the diode. So here we have the diode numbers will be given. It's not your normal 1940007 diode. It's a different diode. So here you will have some values like non-repetitive peak reverse voltage, peak reverse repetitive reverse voltage, RMS reverse voltage, forward continuous current, average rectified output current, power dissipation. So all such values are given. So for example, power dissipation is 350 milliwatt. Okay, ambient temperature, thermal resistance junction is around 357 degrees per watt. So like this here a lot of data here is there. So in this data, we'll be considering, and also we have some electrical characteristics also here. So in this, these electrical characteristics are more important for us. So here it is given that at 25 degrees centigrade. So at this temperature, these values are valid only for this temperature. If the temperature is varying, these values might also be changing. So here you can see that forward voltage. Here also it's given some test condition. So the forward current of 1 milliampere, the forward voltage is around 0.715 volts, maximum forward voltage required. If it's a current is 10 milliamperes, you may go until 0.855 volts. If it's 50 milliamps, it required voltage is 1 volt. If it is 150 milliamps, it is 1.25 volts. Okay, here also some capacitance values are also given. Here some reverse recovery time is also given. So if time permits, I will deal with those topics also. So if you have some graphs also in your data sheet. Okay, so you can see that this is nothing but your forward characteristics. On the x-axis you have the voltage, on the y-axis you have the current. Okay, and also some leakage current versus junction temperature characteristics also given. So a lot of data you can obtain from a manufacturer's specification sheet. In short, we'll call it as a data sheet. Okay, I'll go back to my presentation. Okay, so if you want to find out the static resistance in forward bias, you need to note down that VF and IF values. If you want to find out the static resistance in a reverse bias, you need to find out the maximum reverse current IR at a given reverse voltage VR. Okay, so you will get those details from this data sheet. So we are taking a typical values. So these values are given in your textbook. Okay, just for a kind of I can call it as example values. So these values may not be the same with that of your data sheet. Okay, so do not worry about that. So depending upon your diode number that you are using, these values might be different. You might get different resistance values. Okay, so the typical value of a silicon planar epitaxial diode, it's a one specific type of diode. For this, it is given that VF is equal to 0.8 volts and IF is equal to 10 milliamps, right? So what will be your R value? So capital R will be equal to VF by IF, that is 0.8 by 10 milli. Okay, so it becomes 0.08 into 10 power 3, that is around 80 ohms. That's what you are getting. RF is equal to 80 ohms. And then for the reverse bias characteristics, from reverse bias characteristics, it is given that IR is equal to 0.1 microamperes. So you can see that the unit is microamperes. It's not in milli, it's in micro. IR is equal to 0.1 microamps and VR is equal to 50 volts. So your reverse resistance RR is equal to VR by IR, that is 50 volts by 0.1 micro. It becomes 500 into 10 power 6, that is 500 mega ohms. So forget about these numbers. So from this, what you can see that from this typical values, you can see that 80 ohms is a very small number. So resistance offered by any diode in the forward bias is a very small. Whereas in the reverse bias, you are seeing that resistance around in the range of mega ohms. It's a 500 mega ohms we have got. It means that a diode offers very large resistance in the reverse bias. Okay, so it is as if there will not be any current flowing through the diode, because the diode offers very large resistance in the reverse bias. That's why. So if ideally saying, we can consider that the current in reverse bias is equal to 0. However, in reality, there will be a small current flowing in the units of around in the range of microamperes or nanoamperes. Okay, that too due to the presence of either due to the presence of your minority charge carriers or maybe attributed to your leakage current. If the temperature is increasing, there will be increase in the leakage current around the body of your semiconductor. Small leakages currents might be occurring if the temperature is rising. Okay, which sometimes your leakage current will be much appreciable high compared to your current due to your minority carriers. Okay, so from this what you need to know that in reverse bias diode offers very large resistance. Okay, and then next topic we are seeing is dynamic resistance, diode dynamic resistance. So earlier what we are done, we are taken only one operating point, and we are from the operating point we are directly writing V by I and we are getting the resistance. Okay, but for small signal operation we may consider another parameter called dynamic resistance or incremental resistance. So as the term incremental resistance is there, it means that we are finding out the incremental change in voltage when there's small change in current. Okay, so R is equal to dV by di. So here we will be taking a small change in voltage delta V, for which we are getting a change in delta I. Now R will be equal to R will be equal to delta I by delta V. For a continuous curve, you may consider it as dV by di. Here also dynamic resistance is not constant. It also depends upon the operating point. So here operating point P is if it is changing, say around the operating point, your dynamic resistance may also change. So from this dynamic resistance, you can also tell another term called your conductance, diode conductance. So diode conductance is given by the term small g. It's a dynamic conductance, small g. So small g is nothing but your 1 by R. So you know that conductance is nothing but inverse of your resistance. So G is equal to 1 by R. So the units of conductance will be mho, it is not ohms. For resistance it is ohms, whereas for conductance it is mho or Siemens, right? So for conductance G, I can write it as, is my PPT visible? Please
Yes,
let
sir.
me know. Yes, okay, fine. Okay. So your G will be equal to, sorry, G is equal to 1 by R, that is equal to di by dv. And you know that I is equal to I naught into exponential of v by eta vt minus 1. Now if you do di by dv, what you will be getting? Di by dv, for differentiating you will be getting I naught will be left over here. For the exponent, if you have e power x, derivation of e power x will be the same, right? So e by eta vt. So along with that, we have some constants multiplied with that voltage. So it will be this term multiplied with 1 by eta vt. So I will write it 1 by eta into vt. And then you have a term minus 1 is there. Derivation of constant term is 0. So what I will be left out with di by dv is equal to I naught by eta. Screen not visible. Screen not visible or visible. Please unmute and answer. It might be a problem on of one student. Connectivity
Visible, sir.
problem might be there. Visible, right?
Visible,
So
visible.
okay, fine. Okay. So di by dv is equal to I naught by eta vt into exponential of v by eta vt. This we are calling it as diode conductance G. Okay. So G is equal to I naught by eta Vt into e power V by eta Vt. Okay. So same thing we'll be writing over here. G equal to di by dv is equal to I naught into e power V by eta Vt by eta Vt. Again, you can rewrite this term in terms of I naught also. So what you got? G equal to di by dv equal to I naught by eta Vt into exponential of V by eta Vt, right? But we have the expression I equal to I naught into E by V by eta Vt minus 1. Okay, so if you divide it into two terms, I naught into eta V by eta Vt minus I naught. If you take the minus I naught to that side, it will be I plus I naught equal to I naught into e power V by eta Vt. So this term will be replacing over here. Okay. So your G will be equal to I plus I naught by eta Vt. Okay. The same thing will be mentioned in our PPT. So G equal to I plus I naught by eta Vt. Okay. If the reverse bias voltage is greater than some few tens of volts, then your conductivity, your conductance will be extremely small, whereas R is very large. That's what in reverse bias condition, your resistance, dynamic resistance is large. So resistance is offered is large. Please mute yourself. Somebody is unmuted. So your resistance is large. So if the resistance is large, your conductivity, which is nothing but your reciprocal of your resistance, will be small. Okay, in reverse bias. Whereas in forward bias, your I will be greater than I naught, right? So I naught is your reverse saturation current, which is a small value. Your forward current will be much larger value. So in this term, I can neglect in forward bias your I naught term. Okay. So I naught is a reverse saturation current. Magnitude will be in the terms of microamperes, whereas your forward current I will be in the order of milliamperes. So if I can neglect I naught term. Okay. So if I neglect in forward bias, your conductivity in forward bias, conductivity will be nearly equal to I by eta Vt. So your resistance will be equal to 1 by G equal to eta Vt by I. Okay. So eta Vt by I. That's what you are getting, the dynamic resistance. So you can see that from this equation, I can tell that your dynamic resistance is inversely proportional to I. So higher your forward current, higher will be your forward current, lower will be the dynamic resistance. That's what I'm saying. So if you are going to move along this forward bias curve, the resistance offered will be small. So initially, the dynamic resistance will be higher in the first few volts, in the first few regions of your curve. Here, the dynamic resistance will be higher, whereas the dynamic resistance will be lower as you go along with the curve. Okay. So at room temperature, you are going to replace the Vt value. Vt value is nothing but 26 millivolts, right? So you are taking for germanium, you are taking that eta equal to 1, Vt is equal to 26 millivolt, and current is in also milliamperes, so that millivolt and milliamperes, milli gets cancelled. So I can write resistance as 26 by I ohms. In case forward current is around 26 milliamps, then in that case dynamic resistance will be around 1 ohm. So you can see that dynamic resistance is smaller in comparing to the even to the static resistance. In some books, they'll call static resistance as DC resistance and dynamic resistance as AC resistance. Okay, so do not get confused. Your DC resistance is nothing but your static resistance. AC resistance is nothing but your dynamic resistance. So dynamic resistance means we are going to take the incremental values. We are not going to take only a particular value. Okay, so your dynamic resistance is valid even for your large signal approximations. So next what we are going to do is we are going to approximate the diode equation, the exponential curve, to that of a linear curve. So the linear, what we are doing is this exponential portion we are approximating to that of a straight line. Okay, so if you're taking a piecewise linear diode, so this is your actual practical diode. So in the practical diode, the curve will be in this manner. Okay, so till the cut-in voltage, the current is almost negligible. It's a very small value. After the cut-in voltage, your curve is going to exponentially increase. This is a practical diode. But for our simplifications, or for all general practical purposes, to solve any practical problems, we'll not consider it as exponential curve. Instead, we'll be solving to approximated linear model. In a linear model, what we are doing, instead of writing this exponential curve, we'll be considering it as a linear curve. So linear curve means we're considering it as if the resistance, the dynamic resistance is not a varying value, but it's a constant value. It's as if we are taking a straight line in place of a exponential curve. This it's only approximation. Okay, it's not exact curve. So for this, the slope is always constant. The slope is nothing but your inverse of your resistance. Okay, so until your cut-in voltage, we are considering that piecewise linear diode. What we'll consider that in the entire reverse bias condition, your current is 0. So here your current is 0. IR is entirely you're considering as 0. And then in forward bias, for V less than, just a moment. For V less than V cut in, your current IF is equal to 0. If V is greater than V gamma, then IF is a linearly varying graph. Okay, so this is how we are approximating the diode characteristics. So in most of the gate problems also, he might give only the approximate model for simple calculations. Okay, this is called piecewise linear characteristics. Okay, it's only approximate model. And then if you have a ideal diode, in ideal diode, even this cut-in voltage V gamma will be made equal to 0. Okay, so what we are going to do is, although the diode is a non-linear element, it means the V versus I curve is not having a straight line characteristics, but still we are approximating it to a linear model, so that we can apply our normal linear equations to solve any problem. Okay, and then so next, So next we have topic of capacitance. I do not want to start the capacitance topic right now. So before going to the capacitance topic, I'll be showcasing some characteristics in the virtual lab. So please bear a minute. Is my browser screen visible to you? Is my browser screen visible to you? Okay. So once you open your browser, or you can search for something called VLabs. Please mute yourself. Then the first result you'll get is called virtual labs. Okay. It's a Government of India initiative by the MHRD. Okay. So in this, you can do, if not all the experiments, you can do at least a few experiments you can conduct online. So, so once you browse this, you can go for this electronics topic. So instead of searching in electrical engineering, better go and search in the electronics and communications engineering. So here we have a lot of labs available. All right. So go for this basic electronics lab by IIT Kharagpur. I'm going for that IIT Kharagpur lab. Okay, so you can see that welcome to the basic electronics virtual laboratory. So you have some list of experiments available, like very familiar, like familiarization with resistor, capacitor, inductor, Ohm's law, everything is there. In which I'm going to open this fifth experiment, VI characteristics of a diode. Okay. So in the VI characteristics of diode, the theory is also given to you. If you want to see, you can see the theory, which I have already covered. So structure of p-n junction diode functions, forward bias, reverse bias plots. These things are given. Diode equation is also given. So instead of I naught, he has used IS, reverse saturation current. Okay. So here you see that VT is nearly 26 millivolt. All those things are already covered for you. So now what we'll be doing is we'll be doing the virtual experiment to get the VI characteristics. So if you want to check the experiment, once you read the theory, you can go for the procedure. So procedure is also given. It's for a silicon diode. Experimental diagram is also given. For forward bias, for reverse bias, everything. So first is given, set DC voltage to 0.2 volts. Select the diode, set the resistor. Voltmeter is placed parallel to. You know that voltmeter is always placed across an element. Voltmeter should never be kept in series, and ammeter should always be kept in series. You should not keep ammeter in parallel. If you keep ammeter in parallel, what happens is ammeter has a inherently low resistance. So for ideal ammeter, the resistance is equal to 0. For a practical ammeter, it will be very small value. So if you keep your ammeter in parallel, what happens is current, instead of flowing through a high resistance path, it will bypass through the low resistance ammeter, and your ammeter gets burnt. Okay, so never keep your ammeter in parallel. Similarly, never keep your voltmeter in series. So what happens is your voltmeter has a ideal voltmeter has infinite resistance. The practical voltmeter resistance will be in the mega ohms. Okay, so if you keep a voltmeter in series, what happens? It will not allow the current to flow through it. It is as if it's an open circuit. Your voltmeter is acting like an open circuit, whereas your ammeter is acting like a short circuit. Okay, so you should never keep a voltmeter in series in a circuit. You should never connect your ammeter in parallel to any across any circuit element. Okay, always ammeter should be connected in series and voltmeter should be connected in parallel. So now I'll go back to the simulation. I'll first do forward bias diode. So can you see this circuit? Please answer, please respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here I
Yes,
can
sir.
select the diode. So in our college, I used to do with the 1N4007. So different types of diodes are mentioned. So different diodes will have different properties. So I'll take the 1N4007. Please mute yourself. Please mute. So I can control this voltage, the DC supply voltage, by moving this slider. Okay. So I can move this slider. So I'll first take VDC is equal to 0.2 volts. Resistance I'll consider it as I can also vary the resistance. So I'll take some value near to 1000 ohms. So I may not exactly get 1000. I'll try to keep it around 1000. Okay. So it's 1005. Let it be. Okay. So now what I will be doing? So I got VDC as 0.2 volts, resistance around 1000 ohms. Now the current it is showing as 0. Okay, I'll add this to table. Okay, now in the table I get the forward voltage as 0. So it's a forward voltage nothing but voltage that we are measuring across the diode. So this is the anode, this is the cathode. So voltage across the diode is around 0 volts. Current flowing through the diode is also 0 milliamperes. Now initially it is, although I'm giving 0.2 volts, there is no current or voltage. Now I'll be increasing the voltage. So I now kept VDC as 0.4 volts. I'm not going to change the resistance. Okay. Now I'll again add to the table. Where is the DC voltage? I varied actually. Okay, it is changing like this. And I'll keep it as 0.5, let us say. I do not know why it is not adding. Okay, slowly I'm going to change these values. Click on plot. I got only 1 point. Okay. I need to add some more values. I'll take some. So for 0.3, it is still 0. So next point I'll take it as somewhere around 0.6. Still it is voltage is reading 0. So I'll go for 0.7. So you can see that 0.7 I'm reading some value 0.529. I'm reading some current. So till that 0.7 I did not get any value. So now I will add this point. At 0.529 forward volts I got this 0.995. I'll check if there are any in between values are there. So in between I'm not getting anything. So even if I take 0.3 volts, current is 0, voltage is 0. 0.5 current is 0, voltage is 0. Only at after 0.6 I am getting some values. So I'm going to increase the voltage. At 0.7 I'm getting this value 0.529 I got. I'll make it DC voltage as 0.8. I'm reading 0.533 and 0.199. I'll add to the table. I'll again conduct 0.9 volts. I'm giving the supply and getting another value. So you can see that the forward voltage is slowly increasing and current is also slowly increasing. You still see that current is still less than 1 milliamperes. Okay, because the voltage across the diode is still less than your VF value, that is 0.6 volts. So let us take some instance. So let us consider for 1 volt. Again, we'll add to the plot. It's 0.539, it is 0.398. Now I'll make it 1.1. Sorry. Okay, at 1.2 I'm going to take. At 1.2 it's again 0.543. At 1.4 I'll consider 54. So at 1.6 I'll take, it's 0.55, still less than 1. 1.9 I'll take 0.555. Here you can say that it is just crossed 1 milliamps. At 2.1 volt, 1.5. So still the voltage VF is not crossed the 0.6. So I'll increase it further, 0.57. 0.573. 0.576. 0.578. So it is what 0.581, it is 4.3 milliamps. And finally I'll give the entire 5 volts. Okay. So this is the values I got. Now what I will do, I'll click on plot. So did you get the plot here? Please answer. Can you see the plot?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in the practical, actually you'll be going to do this experiment in a breadboard kind of setup. So same thing, you are going to vary the supply voltage. You are going to measure the voltage across the diode and the currents to the diode. You'll keep a resistor to limit the current through the circuit. Okay. So on plotting, you can see that initially the current is very small until around 0.53 or something. Once after 0.53, your current is rising in the exponential manner. Okay. So if you further increase, you may see sudden rise in current. Okay. This for 194007. This is the forward bias characteristics. Similarly, I'll check it for reverse bias circuit. So once you are free today, you just check this website, VLabs. Okay, virtual labs. You can simply type in Google and get this. Something like you do your experiment at your home. So again, I'm checking the 194007. So you can see that V reverse voltage is given a large value, 30 volts. The same thing I'm going to do. I'll start with 0 volts. So here you can see that the anode and cathode terminals are reversed. Now the cathode is facing the positive terminal of the battery and the anode is facing the negative terminal of the battery. That's the only difference. Okay. Everything else is more or less the same. So enter the resistance value. Okay, resistance I'm not taking. Again, I'll take the same value around 1000. Okay, 996 let it be. So I got reverse current as 0 microamperes. You can see the range, it is not in milliamps, it is in microamps. I'll increase the voltage. It is still 0 microamps. I'll add to table. Still 0. So here, somewhere here, you can see that small rise in current is there, 0.5 microamperes. It's micro, it's not milli. I'm randomly increasing, but in actual physical laboratory, you will be incrementing in a uniformly fashion. So finally, I'm plotting it. So I can see that this is a negative current. Okay, although it is shown in the positive y-axis, it is in the still the negative values. Slightly it is increasing, but still you need not worry that it's not a constant graph. So overall it is in microamperes range. Now only they are magnifying it, and that too you can see that here it's almost linear after some value. Okay, so initially it is in the linear range. At 0 to around -2 it is equivalent to 0, after which it is falling down. Okay, so increase in the reverse current. This is the reverse bias characteristics. Okay, so before we take a leave, so I'll just ask if you have any doubts, and tomorrow I'll be in the next class, I'll be discussing about the capacitances, and I also showcase the how to do the experiment with the diodes in your MATLAB Simulink. Okay, because we do not have any physical laboratory, I may ask you to install MATLAB and do the experiments in that. Okay. So please let me know if you have any kind of doubts till now in the topic of PN junction diodes. Please unmute and you can answer. If you have any doubts, I'll clarify that. Otherwise, I'll close the session. I think it's already 2:50. I better I'll leave that. Okay, you can leave the class and you can join the next class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.